Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure, as always, to see you all here at the Nexa front lawn. What we have coming up right now is a book launch for a quite remarkable and exciting book, which is especially relevant here in Jaipur. This book is titled Secrets of Amer, and I would like to invite onto the stage Dr. Edward Dickenson, who is going to be introducing the book and the rest of the session. By way of quick introduction, please do give him a round of applause. By way of quick introduction, Edward Dickinson is a physician and arts lover and now an active resident of Amer. He has turned the skills he acquired while creating healthcare innovation programs with the Royal College of Physicians and in teaching hospitals in the UK to advocating for sustainable tourism. I'll hand over to him now, and please enjoy the book launch. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Lovely to see a full house on the Nexa front lawns. Thank you very much for those kind words of introduction. And we're going to do a book launch today for Secrets of Amer with a conversation about sustainable tourism. I'm delighted that the book is going to be unveiled today by the Honourable Tourism Minister, accompanied by the author and the book launch team, who are a very important part of Rashmi's life. So I should say that the book is also beautifully wrapped in pouches made by the ladies of the Princess Diya Kumari Foundation. So a little extra for you there. So I'd like now to welcome on stage the other participants in this session. And the first of them is, and I'd like you to please welcome Minister Vishvendra Singh Bharatpur. He's devoted most of his life to political service for constituencies in eastern Rajasthan, as an MP twice, an MLA for 3 terms.
No, 3 times MP also.
3 times MP, thank you very much, I'm glad you're here, which is a remarkable achievement. And he's now Cabinet Minister in the government of Rajasthan with responsibility for tourism, one of the biggest industries in Rajasthan. So that's our book unveiler, the Honourable Minister. Thank you. And next on stage is our author, Dr. Rashmi Dickinson. Strangely, we share a name, and your background is strangely familiar to me. Apparently, you're a medical doctor from Lucknow, trained in Delhi, who became a senior civil servant in the UK, where you lived for many years, and then, under the inspiration of your remarkable 100-year-old freedom fighter father, you were inspired to come back to your mother country to give back. You now live in and advocate for Amer. And finally, I'd like to call up to the stage Rashmi's launch team, and we have ladies, come on up. I'm not sure I've got the order of names correctly, but we have Sandhya, Anshu, Duva, Ranu, and Ritu. They're all leading ladies of Jaipur, and well known to all of those. I can see lots of people are saying hello in the front rows, which is very nice. So we'll now proceed to unveil the books. So the books will be handed out. Into the center. Little bit of stage management, we'll get there. So, Honourable Minister, if you could lead. Thank you very much, launch team. Lovely to see you here, supporting the author and the book launch. So lovely to see the book unveiled with such aplomb and quite a lot of style, I think, on stage at the moment. I'm not talking about myself. So now we're going to turn to responsible and sustainable tourism. As it's lunchtime, we thought we might serve lunch. The starter is a taste of Amber, the main course is our conversation, and the dessert is your questions, hopefully with toppings. So audiovisual team, if we can run the video, which gives us an introduction to the secrets of Amir.
The royal walled kingdom of medieval times, Amber, nestling in the Aravalli Hills, a marvel of Rajput and Mughal architecture. Amber Palace, the seat of glorious power. One of the most visited monuments in India, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and now an iconic destination. The rugged Jagar Fort, a brooding presence on high, protecting the palace and the ancient town below. But there is much more to Amber than the palace and the fort. The Maharajas were incredible patrons of music, arts and culture. They built a royal capital on an amazing scale. Much of it still exists and largely ignored by the visitor on the usual tourist trail. Often neglected, there are exquisite secrets to be found if only one knew where to look. Amber became the capital because the surrounding hills were awesome natural defenses, for these were warlike times all the time. In a supreme feat of engineering, the Maharajas built a superb set of battle.
If the video's, I think, slightly truncated at battlements, just give it 10 seconds. If not, we'll move on. The Honourable Ministers kindly agreed to give a short address. If you prepare.
I'm sure to come through.
Here we go. I think if you give your address. Okay, the video apparently is, there are gremlins in the machine today, which is a pity. So I invite the Honourable Tourism Minister, who's kindly agreed to give a short address. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Edward. Ladies and gentlemen, my very, very dear friends, Doctors Rashmi and Edward Dickinson, it's been an absolute pleasure to have released the book on Amir. Now, I don't know if many of you know about it, but the Dickinsons have been, especially Dr. Rashmi, have been working on Amir, given her life and soul, for the people of Amir and for Amir for decades now. And sometimes I think it's an eerie feeling, to be honest, that you have some connection with Amir, maybe generations ago, that you have gone into such detailing for Amir, promoting Amir, for the people of Amir, and also, I would not hesitate to say, from my side personally, as Tourism Minister, that you, I think, are responsible for getting Rajasthan the 8th World UNESCO Heritage Site. That is Amir. Now, I'd like to take maybe 5 minutes of your time on sustainable and responsible tourism. And before I start, I would also like to compliment Dr. Rashmi and Dr. Edward. I should not be saying so, maybe it's not politically correct, but I shall say it, that for Amir, what you've done through the bureaucratic hurdles that you faced, which are there, those are really admirable. I congratulate you for that. The importance of tourism in social and economic development of Rajasthan can't be overlooked by anybody. The benefits of tourism to the state are many, such as foreign exchange earnings, employment generation, increase in standards of living, regional development, and promotion in international understanding, etc. We have seen that tourism has immense potential. Much has been done and much needs to be done if we are to truly exploit it. In my personal opinion, as far as Rajasthan goes, we have only exploited 20% of what we have. The question arises, where do we go from here? There is now need to focus on ethical tourism, commonly referred to as sustainable tourism. Sustainable tourism is a way of traveling that leaves a minimum negative impact on the places visited and preferably rather leaves a positive impact on society. However, the word sustainable tourism is overused and not properly understood, if I may say so. It is in fact it must involve the term responsible tourism, which is about making better places for people to live in and better places for people to visit, while leaving minimum impact on the earth. Responsible tourism puts more emphasis on the responsibility of tourism industry through generating greater economic benefits for local people and enhancing the well-being of host communities, improving working conditions, involving local people in decisions that affect their lives and life chances, making positive contribution to the conservation of natural cultural heritage. What better example than our own state, Rajasthan, which is a pioneer state where heritage is cherished and responsible tourism is ensured through conservation of cultural heritage. The state of Rajasthan has the maximum number of heritage hotels in the country. Special concessions have been extended by the state from time to time to heritage properties, which resulted in a large number of heritage hotels in Rajasthan. It is important that you start the journey on the right way. You can begin with small interventions that will take you a long way towards becoming responsible. Without losing money or making heavy-duty investments, make a conscious effort to source food locally, employ local people, and to involve the local community in creating experiences for visitors that are rooted in the land. Recycle your waste. Value our resources like water and electricity. And perhaps do something as simple as asking visitors if they prefer RO water or mineral before springing open a new plastic bottle that just adds to piles of trash that threaten to disfigure our wonderful state's landscape. Keep culture, community, and environment at the heart of your business. Rajasthan has to follow the code and guidelines of sustainable tourism more religiously and expeditiously than many other countries in the world because of its vastness. Unexplored treasures of tourism, and because Rajasthan heritage has to be preserved, conserved, and sustained at any cost. Sustainable and responsible tourism is the only way to sustain the virtues and benefits of tourism and to enable these virtues to pass on to the future generations. The onus of contributing to the cause of sustainable tourism lies on each and every person of the state. Government of Rajasthan is in the process of formulating a new policy, tourism policy, making policy decisions, corrections, taking initiatives to maximize, socialize, and economize benefits to the local communities, conserve nature resources, protect heritage, and bring in an awareness in a campaign mode. Rajasthan tourism in particular, and in India in general, has started taking deeper roots. It is time that all stakeholders work together to create an ecosystem of responsible tourism. There is a need for statewide involvement, for it is imperative that everyone, whatever his walk of life, government, the press, municipalities, roads, transport authorities, shopkeepers, hoteliers, travel agents, tour guides, taxi drivers, or the man on the street, or for ladies and gentlemen like you, is positively involved in building a strong tourism consciousness in Rajasthan and the country, and in seeing that this tremendous resource is no longer allowed to lie in our waste in our state. To materialize this on ground, we have signed an MOU with UNESCO for developing 10 tourism destinations for the 4 districts of desert districts of Rajasthan. That is Jaisalmer, Bardmer, Bikaner, and Jaipur. The aim is to showcase the rich intangible cultural heritage of Rajasthan, safeguarding the traditional art forms, and foster sustainable development benefiting the local communities, and promote inclusive development benefiting 1,500 rural artists through capacity building, facilitating direct market linkage, and promotion of art, artists, and villages. The idea is to extend tourist stay in Rajasthan at least 1 day extra. I also take this opportunity that we have been organizing, and since I have become minister, I have organized a lot of fairs, festivals, so that the culture which is being slowly edged out is brought back in the right spirit. And I hope with all your best wishes and with people like the doctors Dickinsons, both of them, we can do that. I look upon your support in every which way, because you are the people who spread the message and you understand what responsible and sustainable tourism is all about. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be with you, and I sincerely hope that our efforts, united efforts, will bring a lot of prosperity and more tourists, increase the footfall, and we are building new circuits. Those circuits are developed, and we can show you more of Rajasthan. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Please come and join us again. I did promise you lunch, and you missed your starter, but apparently we might get the starter back again. So if we could run the video for another go, and let's see if we can see it.
The royal walled kingdom of medieval times, Amber, nestling in the Aravalli Hills, a marvel of Rajput and Mughal architecture. Amber Palace, the seat of glorious power, one of the most visited monuments in India, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and now an iconic destination. The rugged Jagar Fort, a brooding presence on high, protecting the palace and the ancient town below. But there is much more to Amber than the palace and the fort. The Maharajas were incredible patrons of music, arts, and culture. They built a royal capital on an amazing scale. Much of it still exists and largely ignored by the visitor on the usual tourist trail. Often neglected, there are exquisite secrets to be found if only one knew where to look. Amber became the capital because the surrounding hills were awesome natural defenses, for these were warlike times all the time. In a supreme feat of engineering, the Maharajas built a superb set of battlement walls over the hills, studded with mighty gates and elegant watchtowers to spot the enemy early and signal back to the forts, making Amber impregnable. At first, the rulers lived in a relatively humble palace, Narsingh Ji Ka Mandir. But with a growing number of generals and courtiers, Amber became a major center of power and might. Many of the grand Havelis and civic buildings still survive, if only just. The entire landscape of Amber is used for water conservation on a massive scale in case of attack or siege, with huge lakes, bawries, kunds and wells, along with innovative water lifting devices. Perhaps one of the most elegant examples of water self-sufficiency in the world. The highly devout rulers of Amber built many places of worship to serve the spiritual needs of their people and their own. Some say there is a temple for every day of the year in Amber. Around Amber are the royal hunting grounds. Here, the princes and maharajas hunted to hone their fighting skills. Even now, this heritage landscape remains a peaceful sanctuary with intriguing wildlife. The people of Amber today continue their everyday lives surrounded by all this antiquity, almost as they did then, providing a marvelous insight into the rich history and living culture of this ancient town. Everything adds up to make the perfect royal walled kingdom that is Amber, a treasure trove for the responsible traveler.
Thank you very much indeed, Rashmi, for bringing that message. And I think it was worth waiting to see it, learning about the secrets of Amber. But now we should turn to talk to the author a little bit about the book. And at this point, I'm looking for maximum support from the audience, because as a husband interviewing his wife, there is a risk. And I'm hoping that everything's going to be all right this evening. So strong positive vibes, please. So Rashmi, turning to you, how did you come to write this book? We've heard about your love of Amber, but how did the book come about?
Is it okay?
Yep.
Yeah. I came to Amber almost 20 years ago, just as a tourist, to show our children half their Indian heritage. And I just utterly fell in love with Amber. I used to walk around discovering, new things, heritage buildings, whatever. And I looked at it from a child's eye and loved every bit of it. I started, about 2013, I started to write. I used to go on these long walks and I started to write on Facebook. And I called it, Come Walk With Me in My Beloved Amber, and learn about your heritage too. And then people started, the response was so positive, and people started asking me where to go and routes and stuff like that. And then suddenly it occurred to me about 3 years ago that a book would be a good idea.
So if I was to buy the book, what would I find inside? Can you give a flavor of what the contents are like?
It's a book of walks, basically. There are 12 walks in it, and each one has a special flavor. So some is like, for the example, in the center of Amber, and that's very much old, ancient building and normal daily living. And then little bit away, of course, these magnificent walls, you saw that. And they are just amazing. And then, of course, the royal hunting grounds and stuff like that. So 12 different walks.
That sounds wonderful. Can you make the link for us to responsible and sustainable tourism? So you've talked about the walks. How did you come to responsible and sustainable tourism yourself?
When I used to walk around in Amber, I became very aware. Parts of it are so poor. And even the main parts, are not necessarily looked after very well. Amber is kind of treated as Ram Dulari Nagar of Jaipur, even though And then at the same time, around that same time, I started to read about the slow food movement that started in Italy somewhere. And I thought about slow tourism, and then suddenly it was a light bulb moment that if we had responsible tourism in Amer, the visitors would like it, because nobody likes huge crowds and, potholed roads, and the local people would benefit. And then I read more around it, and yes, responsible tourism is the way forward. And I'm very delighted that our minister totally supports us in that.
So presumably the work that you've been doing and your vision for the future of Amer is outlined in this small brochure, which I think has been distributed. There are enough copies for everybody, but they may not have reached the furthest corners of the Nexa front lawns. But that's all in this little brochure, is it?
Indeed.
Okay, that's wonderful. I heard you and the minister having a little chit-chat before you came on stage, and you've got some sort of project hatched. Would you like to tell us about that?
Indeed. The book, which is published by Penguin, all the royalties that I would get are going to be used for what we are going to call Amer Ladies Collective. And this is going to support orphaned girls or destitute women, divorced, left, in any way. But it's better than that. It's better than that. What we are going to do is I am going to, working with the tourism department, I am going to train them up to be guides. Then the department is going to give them their tests and give them the license to practice in Amer Palace and elsewhere.
Honourable Minister, I'm going to turn to you next. You mentioned in your address new circuits. Can you talk a little bit more about what your vision is for new circuits for tourists around Rajasthan?
New circuits, I will give you an example about eastern Rajasthan. The district of Alwar alone has 52 forts, just one district. 52 forts. Now, unless, and nobody knows about more than 5 forts in Alwar. So we are going to create new circuits, which are going to be including religious places, irrespective of the religion, wildlife, and places of archaeological importance and interest to tourists.
What sort of timescale do you see for those developing?
May I be honest? For the last 5 years, the government has been sleeping over the tourism department, and I'm being very blunt about it.
I think you should speak to
Yes,
them.
and
I know you want to tell me this secretly, but you can tell all of them.
No, I'm telling it openly. And now we've started, we've got 1 year which has just been over. New tourism policy is going to come in, which is going to bring new circuits in, which is going to be signed up with UNESCO. And the most important thing we are concentrating on is marketing. Marketing Rajasthan, for example, as far as marketing goes. Now we have a lot of places where Hindi is not spoken. And some of the people don't understand English there either. So we are down south, or Orissa, or be it Bihar, we are going to sell Rajasthan, our new circuits, and what we have already developed in their own language. So that would encourage footfall, domestic footfall.
That sounds like a real step forward. I should think that's going to take a lot of research as well. And I just want to take the opportunity to ask Rashmi about the research that she did to put this book together. Can you tell us how you set about it? I imagine you were in a museum or office, behind a desk. How was it?
Well, really, I did say right in the beginning that I look at everything from child's eye. So everything has to connect. It actually is very difficult to write anything about the ancient history of Amer because there's hardly anything that is written up. And even when it is written up, there are almost gaps of almost 100 years. And I'm talking about scholars like Chandramani Singh and G.K. Bahura and stuff like that. But I not only read whatever they have written, but also the local folklore, talking to local people, sitting in, Pothi Khana, Royal Asiatic Society, everything, and then trying to put it all together.
You've got a bit of piece of paper in front of you, which looks rather interesting. Do you want to take us through that?
Why not? This is a little reading. This is
I think a reading from your book.
From my book, and it's about how I discovered. It's about how Amer was named Amer. So here I am. What amazing 3 days. What discoveries. For years I had read that Amer was named after Amba Mata, goddess of the Meenas, or possibly because of Ambikeshwar temple. There seems to be no real evidence either way. And then no one knew where this cove was, where, according to Todd, Dule Rai is supposed to have massacred the unarmed Meenas. Not even the oldest surviving Meena elders in Amber. Then one day at Jaigarh Fort, I happened to see a 1970 map, courtesy Princess Diya Kumari. It showed Ambagar. What? Is it what I think it is? The same evening, after having had a meeting with Rima Huja, I drop her off to her house. Decide to go up and find Ambagar, guessing that it would be somewhere near Galta Gate. Whoever I asked, never heard of it, don't know. But I remembered that I had once spotted a fort-like structure up on the hills, so I turned back. A kilometer on, there it was. So we followed the silhouette of the distant fort. It was beginning to get dark. Petrol gauge on the bottom click. Still, went up the hill on hairpin bends, somehow made it up with my heart in my mouth. Old priests asked again. They pointed into the darkness, getting too dark. No, this is Sun Temple. Amba Mata Temple is much further, about 2 kilometers. My eyes opening wider, peering through the darkness. What if the car went either side of the crest of the hill or the petrol finished? A chill went up my spine. Should I turn back? Oh, Rashmi, go on, just a little bit more. And then Ambagar Fort came into view. Not one soul around, completely dark, no petrol in the car. I decide to call it a day. But the next morning, back to look for Amba Mata Ka Mandir. Up the dilapidated steps to the fort, through a hole in the broken wall, fragrance of babji rising as I tapes over them, thorns in my shoes, looking over my shoulder to be sure that I was safe in this desperate isolation. A middle-aged man and a younger woman reciting mantras in the most melodious chant. I tried to leave them undisturbed. Broken walls, kund filled with water, but they all looked far newer than 1,000 years old, what I'm expecting Amba Mata Mandir to be. The couple finally see me. They tell me the fort is 800 years old, but the temple was built in 232 AD. How do you know that? Since I know that the records are terrible. Oh, some people tried to encroach on this area, so we took out the records from ancient times. So off I go, about 100 meters away, to the old temple and the white walls. Amba Mata Ka Mandir. Met the priest, white clothes, white flowing robes. Are you a Meena? I asked. No, I'm a Thakur, he replied in perfect English. How come? I asked. This was a Meena temple. Yes, it was, but when the Rajputs came, they appointed Rajputs to look after the temple and the fort. I later found the Ko, which is now called Ko Nagorian. Found the old Bavri, far older and distinct than any in Amber. So what a mixture of folk tales, written and recorded history, none of which had ever been clear to me, now started to make sense. So, the Meenas were in Ko, which is now called Ko Nagorian, at least 1800 years ago, from 232 AD. The first Kachawa king in Rajasthan, Tej Karan, came to Dausa about 1093, upon marrying the daughter of Ralan Singh Chauhan of Lalsot. And therefore he started to be called Dulhe Raja or Dulhe Rai. Then he conquered the Meena place of March, which is now called Jamwa Ramgarh. He then further went and conquered Ko. He conquered Getor from Geta Meena and Jotwara from Jota Meena. Moved the seat to Ko. Amba Mata ka mandir was some distance away, but on the way to Amer. His son Kakil Dev in 1136 wins Amber, makes a temple of Ambikeshwar Ka Mandir. Does he name Amber after Amba Mata or after Ambikeshwar? You tell me.
You lead a really exciting life, Rashmi. I wish I could join you on that journey. We're going to have time for some quick questions. Because we had a little technical time shortage, we're going to have real questions, not statements, and quick answers. Usual house rules. Microphone will come to you. Gentleman right at the front, very prominently asking. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, Rashmi ji. You have written Secrets of Amir, but there is one secret which you might have not come across, which I want to share with you. That you have written about Vidyasagar Bhattacharya, who was the urban minister. But there was one Seth Loonkaran Natani. He was Nagar Seth and one of the 9 ministers of Amir. He funded Jai Singh II to establish Jaipur city. So I am direct descendant of him, and along with you, I want to write a book on Nagar Seth Loonkaran Natani.
Thank you very much for that information. We're going to have one more question. There's a young gentleman who had his hand up second. Sorry, Sadhna. You'll get another chance. This gentleman in the second row. Yes, you. Well done.
Hi. My question is that how can we as residents of the city help with the Amir action plan?
That's really a wonderful question. I'm going to pass that on to the minister, but before that, really come and join me. There is always the bureaucrats, the politicians, and so on. But in reality, it's the local people who know most about what is required. So if anybody has different ideas, much is written in there, contact us. And if you don't know my number, there's always, if you are from Amer at all, there is somebody called Mahesh Meena. He is right opposite the Chhatris, and just contact me. But I would like to put that question to the minister.
That was, oh, great. Thank you, sir.
Every citizen of Jaipur must contribute towards what we just discussed, responsible tourism. And the saddest part is, we all talk about it, whether it's politicians, bureaucrats, or citizens, but we do nothing about it. Now we have to start on, and I'm sure, under the able guidance of Dr. Dickenson, we can start that with Amir. And as far as the new tourism policy which I just mentioned about, we are including this, that we have to clean up everything. We have to make the roads, we have to have a clean place to go for people to go visit, and also request the people not to destroy something which we have inherited over thousands and millions of years. And least of all, excuse me, may I finish? The other thing is, what is very important is to make the tourist feel safe. Whether it's foreign tourists or Indian tourists, whether it's a lady tourist or a gentleman tourist, we have to make them feel safe. And that is where one very important part comes in. So we are going in for tourist policing as well in the new policy. And that's how we entered.
That's a lovely note to end on. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
I think we're going to actually wind up the session now.
Yeah, sure.
So the gentleman at the front is kindly pointing out there's a lot of research to be done. And thank you very much for your intervention. It's really good to have
I'm a Rajput too.
contributions and participation. So I'm going to wind the session up. I'd like to give some thanks. Thank you to you, the audience. Give yourselves a clap.
And I thank you very much for all of
Thank you very much indeed to
And
the...
I think, Edward, you'll get a nice dinner this evening from Rashmi.
Thank you. And thank you very much indeed to the JLF teams, author teams, stage teams, audio-visual team. We do thank you at the end of the day. Rashmi, good luck with your book. And it's been a wonderful experience here. I hope you've all enjoyed it too. Thank you very much indeed.
Please stay. Please stay on the stage, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Z Jaipur Literature Festival, firstly a huge thank you to the Honorable Tourism Minister, Vishvendra Singh Bharatpur ji. Huge thank you, of course, to Dr. Edward Dickenson, to Dr. Rashmi Dickinson for talking about their projects, talking about the book, which we're very excited to see. We kicked off the Nexa front lawn this morning with a session on climate. And the Z Jaipur Literature Festival is proud to partner with AirAsia India, part of the Tata Group, to raise awareness about the climate and work towards a greener and more sustainable future. Together, we are creating a literature forest with individual trees in honor of the speakers at the Jaipur Literature Festival to reduce the carbon footprint that we create by planting trees. A single tree can offset 20 kilograms of carbon in a year. And we request you now to please give a huge round of applause to, again, the Honorable Minister Vishvendra Singh Bharatpur ji, to Dr. Rashmi Dickinson and Dr. Edward Dickinson as we honor them with certificates to mark this initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is just one small initiative we're working on with AirAsia India, part of the Tata Group. But as you've heard on the stage today, we all must do our part. Thank you again. And we'll have a very quick turnaround. We'll be back in 5 to 7 minutes with the next session for the day. Thank you.